The conference chamber aboard the Valiant orbital station had been designed for diplomacy, but Commander Vrel of the Korath hierarchy doubted any amount of architectural elegance could salvage this disaster of a first contact. 3 of his scouts were dead, dissolved from the inside by toxins native to the third planet, and the primitives who called themselves humans had barely acknowledged the incident before inviting the survivors to dinner, as if breaking bread could compensate for 3 lives lost. Vrel's primary sensory stalks twitched with barely contained fury as he observed the human delegation entering the chamber. They walked with an unsettling confidence, their bipedal frames somehow managing to appear both fragile and threatening. The lead human, who had introduced herself as Ambassador Cole, smiled with that disturbing display of bone protrusions her species called teeth. "Commander Vrel, thank you for accepting our invitation," Cole said, her translator rendering the words in perfect Korath tonal structure. "We understand you've suffered a terrible loss. We hoped this meal might open dialogue about the incident." Dialogue. Vrel's voice resonated through the chamber, edged with harmonics that conveyed his skepticism. "Your world has killed 3 members of my crew, Ambassador. They died in agony, their respiratory systems liquefied by compounds in the vegetation they encountered during the survey mission. Your planet is a death trap." Cole's expression shifted into something Vrel's cultural database identified as sympathy, though he trusted nothing about these creatures. "I know. Earth is dangerous. We've cataloged over 400,000 toxic plant species alone, and that's before counting the fungi, animals, and microorganisms. Your scouts encountered something called poison oak. It's relatively mild by our standards." Mild. The word came out as a low harmonic rumble. "It killed them. Yes, and we are genuinely sorry." Cole gestured to the table that dominated the center of the room. "Please sit. Let us show you something that might help you understand." Vrel hesitated, his tactical officer Bryn shifting nervously beside him. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap, that the humans were leading them into some elaborate execution. But the Korath hierarchy had not become a galactic power by cowering from challenges. He moved to the table, his 4 legs carrying him with deliberate precision. The table was laden with items Vrel's scanner identified as organic materials, most likely food. The variety was staggering. Fruits in colors that seemed to defy natural evolution. Vegetables of shapes his botanical education had never encountered. And prepared dishes that emitted aromatic compounds his nose slits could barely process. "This is a traditional Earth meal," Cole explained, taking a seat across from him. "Everything on this table would kill most species in the known galaxy. Some of it can kill us too, if prepared incorrectly." Vrel's secondary eyes focused on a small red pod sitting innocently on Cole's plate. His scanner immediately began shrieking warnings, identifying capsaicin concentrations that should have classified the item as a chemical weapon. "That fruit," Vrel said slowly, "registers as a neurotoxin delivery system. This is a Carolina Reaper pepper." Cole picked it up with her bare fingers, seemingly unconcerned by the danger. "One of the spicier varieties we've cultivated. The Scoville scale puts it at about 2.2 million units. Units of what? Pain, essentially." Cole bit into the pepper. Vrel watched in horror as the human chewed, swallowed, and reached for a glass of liquid. Her face had changed color, a reddish hue spreading across her cheeks, and moisture was forming around her eyes. Clear signs of distress, yet she was smiling. "Why would you consume something that causes you suffering?" Bryn asked, his voice carrying undertones of genuine confusion. Cole wiped her eyes. "Because it tastes good. The pain triggers endorphin release. It's actually pleasurable once you develop a tolerance." She gestured to other items on the table. "These are raw oysters. They filter toxins from ocean water and concentrate them in their flesh. We eat them alive. This is fugu, a fish whose organs contain enough tetrodotoxin to kill 30 adult humans. Our chefs train for years to prepare it safely, and people still die from it occasionally. We eat it anyway. Vrel's mind struggled to process the information. You intentionally consume lethal materials for recreational purposes. Not just recreational. Another human at the table, introduced as Dr. Park, leaned forward. Evolutionary advantage. Our ancestors, who could tolerate the widest variety of foods, survived famines that wiped out more specialized eaters. We developed incredibly robust digestive systems, powerful livers, and immune responses that treat most toxins as minor inconveniences. Park picked up a green plant that Vrel's scanner identified as containing compounds similar to those that had killed his scouts. This is cilantro. To about 15% of humans, it tastes like soap because of their genetic makeup. They hate it. The rest of us love it. We put it in everything. Your genetic diversity allows such variation? Vrel asked. Oh, that's just the beginning. Cole pointed to a yellow root. This is ginger. Anti-inflammatory, aids digestion, and would probably burn a hole through your stomach lining. This dark beverage is coffee. The beans are toxic to most earth mammals, but we've built entire civilizations around drinking it. It keeps us alert, focused, and arguably functional. She continued around the table, each item a revelation of human madness. Chocolate, poisonous to earth canines. Almonds containing cyanide compounds. Nutmeg, a hallucinogen in large doses. Mushrooms that could either nourish or kill, sometimes from the same family, requiring expertise to distinguish. Everything you're showing me suggests your species should have died out millennia ago, Vrel said. Probably. Cole shrugged. A gesture his database interpreted as casual acknowledgement. But we didn't. We thrived. We spread across every biome on Earth, from Arctic tundra to tropical rainforests to deserts that reach 70 degrees Celsius. We survived ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, and our own tendency toward self-destruction. Dr. Park added, the same adaptations that let us eat poison also help us survive radiation exposure better than most species, tolerate extreme temperature variations, and recover from injuries that would be fatal to other beings. A human can lose 25% of their blood volume and survive. We can function with significant portions of our brains damaged. We've documented cases of humans surviving falls from 10,000 meters. Outliers, surely, Bryn protested. Rare, yes. Impossible, no. Park smiled. Humans are persistence hunters, Commander. We don't have venom or claws or natural armor. What we have is the ability to just keep going. We chase prey until it dies of exhaustion. We eat things that fight back, chemically or physically. We look at a plant that kills us and think, maybe if I cook it differently, it will only make me stronger. Vrel sat in silence, his sensory stalks processing this flood of information. The Korath had encountered hundreds of species in their expansion through the galaxy. Some were stronger, some more technologically advanced, some more numerous. But none had ever seemed quite so alien as these humans, who treated death itself as merely another ingredient in their development. The scouts we lost, Vrel said quietly. They were following standard survey protocols. They touched vegetation to catalog it. A reasonable approach for most worlds, Cole acknowledged. Unfortunately, Earth didn't develop with most worlds in mind. The plant they encountered, poison oak, produces an oil called urushiol. It causes severe allergic reactions in about 85% of humans. We teach our children to identify and avoid it. Yet you maintain it in your ecosystem. We maintain everything. Poisonous snakes, venomous spiders, plants that can kill with a touch, microorganisms that could wipe out cities if weaponized. They're all part of the web of life that made us what we are. Cole's expression grew serious. We didn't invite you here to gloat, Commander. We invited you here to help you understand why this war you're considering would be a catastrophic mistake. Vrel's combat instincts flared. You presume much, Ambassador? Your fleet has been in high orbit for 3 days. Your weapon systems have been charging. Your troop transports are loaded and ready. Cole's voice remained calm, but steel entered her tone. We have intelligence networks too, Commander. We know the hierarchy's standard response to dangerous worlds: sterilization and resource extraction. Your world killed my scouts, and we are genuinely sorry for that loss. But Earth didn't kill them out of malice. It killed them because it doesn't care about intentions. Our world will kill you, your soldiers, your colonists, not because it hates you, but because it evolved to be this way. And we, the humans who survived it, learned every one of its lessons. Dr. Park spoke up again. Do you know what we call Earth in some of our oldest languages? Variations on mother and home, but also crucible and forge. The planet that made us didn't coddle us. It tested us. Everything here either adapted to be deadly or adapted to survive the deadly things. We're in the second category. Cole picked up another pepper, smaller than the first, but radiating even more dangerous energy according to Vrel's scanner. This is a Trinidad scorpion pepper. It can cause seizures in unprepared humans. Some of us eat them for fun. She bit into it, maintaining eye contact with Vrel the entire time. The demonstration was clear. These creatures were not boasting or exaggerating. They were providing evidence of a fundamental truth. Humanity had been forged in conditions that would have destroyed the Korath. And they had not merely survived, but learned to take pleasure in the things that should have killed them. If you invade, Cole said. Her voice slightly strained from the pepper, but unwavering. You'll face soldiers who grew up playing in environments toxic to you. You'll fight in cities built on volcanic fault lines, in jungles where the air itself can kill you, on continents that freeze solid for half the year. And you'll be fighting a species that looks at all of that and calls it home. Vrel realized, with a clarity that felt like ice water in his veins, that the humans had already won this war. They had won it millions of years ago, when their ancestors decided that eating the poisonous fruit was better than starving, that drinking the contaminated water was better than dying of thirst, that surviving another day in hell was better than surrendering to oblivion. You could have simply told us this information, Vrel said. We could have. Cole finished her water and smiled again. That disturbing display of bone that Vrel was beginning to understand meant something more complex than simple happiness. But we've learned that sometimes the most important truths need to be experienced, not just explained. You came here thinking Earth was a prize to be claimed. We needed you to understand that Earth is a warning label. Bryn leaned toward Vrel, speaking in undertones. Commander, the analysis is complete. Nothing on this table would be safely digestible by any member of our species. 80% of it would cause immediate systemic failure, and they eat it for pleasure. Vrel murmured back. He stood, his decision crystallizing. Ambassador Cole, Dr. Park, I believe we have learned what we came to understand. The Korath hierarchy will be withdrawing from this system. We will mark Earth as a Category 9 world, biologically incompatible with Korath life. Hostile environment inhabited by apex survivors. Relief washed across Cole's face, quickly masked by diplomatic neutrality. We appreciate your wisdom, Commander. For what it's worth, we would have preferred to meet as friends rather than as potential enemies. Perhaps one day we will. Vrel inclined his head in the Korath gesture of respect. When my people have evolved for another 1,000,000 years and can match your casual disregard for mortality, As Vrel and Bryn left the chamber, heading back to their shuttle, Bryn voiced the question that would haunt Korath's strategic planning for generations. Commander, if humans can survive their own world, what could possibly threaten them? Vrel thought of the peppers, the toxins, the casual way Cole had consumed things that should have been weapons. Themselves, perhaps. Or nothing at all. Which is precisely why we're leaving. The war concluded before it began. Ended by the simple demonstration that humanity's greatest defense was not their weapons or their numbers, but the fundamental fact that they had spent millennia learning to thrive in conditions that killed everything else. The galaxy would learn to respect Earth, not because humans were the strongest or the smartest, but because they were the species that looked at poison and decided it needed better seasoning.